Welcome to Let's Talk Assassin's Creed, your number one podcast for all things Assassin's Creed.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to episode 145 of Let's Talk Assassin's Creed. Tonight, we're going to give our first impressions and thoughts about Assassin's Creed Mirage, the next main game in the series. We've got two special guests joining us tonight for that. Before we introduce them and get on with the show, it is our 50th episode of recording together, Declan. I feel like we should have some champagne or something to celebrate. But anyway, let's get on with the show. Or tea. That's what we'll do.
Tea and cake.
Absolutely. Perfect. We are joined tonight by two special guests who I think are going to be particularly excited about this game. So first of all, welcome SixKeys.
Hello.
And also welcome Arshak.
Ahlan wa sahlan, assassins.
Nice,
That's
mate.
welcome.
Now, Arshak, I think we need to explain your connection and why this game for you is probably particularly important and interesting.
My connection to this game. This game, Assassin's Creed Mirage, is set in ancient Baghdad. I come from Baghdad, which is amazing, and yeah, like this is the city. Like Assassin's Creed has finally come to my birthplace, which is amazing. Like I can't wait to see how it was back in the day when it was beautiful.
It's been one of the nice things I've enjoyed in the last few weeks. Following you, Assassin M on Twitter and others is just how happy fans in the Middle East are about seeing their language represented and some of their history represented in this game, and it just warms my heart. I must say, I'm really looking forward to it.
Oh yeah, we have like a whole group chat going of like how we can improve like the perception of Arabic thing with Assassin's Creed Mirage, which is amazing. Like I think the collaboration between us is going great. And I'm making friends out of them, you know. They're amazing people.
One thing I will say, and I didn't, of course, I guess, why would I spot it? But when we saw the logo, I thought, that's a nice logo, that's pretty. It's Arabic calligraphy. I didn't know Arabic calligraphy was a thing, but it's fantastic how they've hidden the phrase in the logo using Arabic calligraphy.
Yes, how they've hidden the hidden one. Yeah.
Talking of the hidden one, SixKeys, we're going to see your boy, Basim. He's back.
I know.
And
I'm trying not to squee.
It's allowed. It's allowed. Have you seen the little sneaky screenshot of the Prince of Persia pack?
Me?
Yes.
Of course.
How would she not see it?
I would assume so, but it's always polite to ask and not assume. Yes, I believe that's going to be a popular one with the fans.
Topless Basim, woohoo!
Absolutely, and photo mode. I mean, come on, my word.
They have to have the towel in there just as a fan service, you know.
Oh, please!
Yeah.
Oh, there has to be Basim's bath towel.
Like,
absolutely.
Just have it as a UB Connect reward, you know. Like,
yes.
There we go.
I'll take any skins that's like the more that you have, like that shows skin. I'm all for it.
It's getting warm in here,
and we're not even 5 minutes in.
I know, Declan. Get us on track, mate. Where do we start with this thing? Are you excited?
See, I want to offer my thoughts, but I know people are not going to be happy with my thoughts. Personally, from a story point of view, I'm kind of concerned about Mirage. Because how I pictured with Basim being the modern day protagonist, I expected his story to grow over the modern day. So we'll get cutscenes in modern day where Rebecca's like, so, you know, how did you remember Loki? How did you remember those memories? And that would then cue into like a proper heartfelt cutscene or something with Basim telling the story. But it feels like now they don't have to ever make them cutscenes because they'll just say, well, we don't have to give fans that modern day fan service because the game prequels out. So if they want to know that story, just go play the old games. We don't need to ever address it in modern day. So I don't know, it's kind of weird. I'm excited for the game because it's a new setting I don't know very well in history, so I'm very excited to learn about the history and the culture. So that's a big win. Gameplay looks fantastic, even though Basim looks like he breaks one of the creeds at the start because he doesn't really seem to hide in plain sight on that bench, dropping a smoke bomb. But I don't know, I think it'll be a good game. I've pre-ordered it, so I'm hyped.
You've pre-ordered it? Okay.
Yes. It's Assassin's Creed. I'm not to be rude. Right now they could put Assassin's Creed Pong for 20 quid and I will pre-order it. Yeah, I'm so far down the rabbit hole, Assassin's Creed just has to stick a label on it and I'm done. Ash?
Yeah, I think like I get your point of like him not doing the hide in plain sight thing justice in that particular scene, but like I kind of disagree with you, just because like he was hiding in plain sight as a beggar, and then he went out and straight up killed people. That's like the same imagery where Ezio killed a Florentine a Florentine noble in the first trailer of Assassin's Creed, of Assassin's Creed 2. Like he basically paid some courtesans and then the Florentine was like dancing and then he just like went for it. Like I compared it to that. Like he hid in plain sight and then he made like a whole show of like, there you go, Templars, now it's your turn to like try and catch me. Basim and Ezio are kind of like, they're cheeky like that. They're charismatic like that. So yeah, that's what I was getting from the trailer.
I do agree with you. Sorry, SixKeys.
No, I was just gonna say, that's something that I was really excited about because that's what social stealth is. It's like you hide in plain sight until you get the perfect opportunity to strike, and that's exactly what it was in that trailer. I really hope that that's an actual feature in the game.
So do I, to be honest.
If it's not a feature, I'm rioting.
Right.
Yeah.
Like just actually having that thing, like where you sit on a bench and pretend to be a beggar or something and just launch yourself into an assassination. That would be so amazing.
I can already imagine my screen capture of doing that. But anyway, James, you were going to say something.
I was going to sort of just follow on from what you and all three of you were saying, which is, now, of course, we haven't seen real gameplay yet. We've just seen, I guess, the cinematic trailer. But if a lot of the little segments in that trailer, if they are modeled on what they are planning or hoping to be in the game, I mean, I'm not a hype person, right? I'm pretty cautious generally, so I'm not kind of yet hyped, but I'm trying to stay calm. And if we do get things like bench assassinations, chain assassinations, if I can say that, there was one bit just further on in that chase sequence where well, this is the bit I wanted to discuss. He throws what looks like a red smoke bomb, which just looks great anyway as a visual. But then I watched it again and thought, is he actually throwing a smoke bomb, or is he tipping over like a jar of spices or chili powder or something like that to create the distraction or the chase breaker in that sequence? And it did make me wonder if, from a gameplay point of view, are they going to make more of the what we would consider tools more environmental? Like in another part of the chase sequence, he pulls over a merchant stand to stop the guards. And I'd love the idea of running through the game and you get little contextual interaction points. Tap E at this point and Basim will pull over a stand, or tap E at this spice seller stand and he'll throw a big cloud of spice behind him to slow down or delay the guards. So maybe they won't. Maybe it will just be very traditional smoke bombs parkour, and that's fine. I'm happy with that. But I did see little glimpses in that trailer where I thought this could be really cool. Not just going back to the old ways and tools, and they've said very clearly they're modeling it, different parts of it on AC1 and certain parts on Unity and so on. But if they actually then took it a step forward and made the environment more usable, the environment is a tool. So I'm still cautious because I'm not a hype guy, but I am very, very interested. Let's put it like that. Over to you, SixKeys.
I was gonna say that they did, as far as I remember, they did actually confirm that, well, of course, you never know, things are going to change, but that at least that's what they want to deliver, is those destructible merchant stands. So that's
okay.
It's kind of, of course, we don't know how it's going to work. AC1 already had those in a way that you can throw guards into a structure and it will collapse on them. So we don't know if it's going to be like you mentioned, that maybe you could have like a contextual, you get like a button prompt. That's something different. Or they could just have these destructible things, just like in AC1, where it's not so much a quick time action or something like that, but more like you can throw people into structures. But we don't know how it's going to work yet.
Yeah. Go on, Arshak.
I want to see like Basim running away from the guards, and then we have like this toggle, this interaction button when we're right next to a stand. When we hit, for example, square, Basim can just ruin the whole merchant stand and then continue on running. Like seamlessly, like without stopping. Basically, what happened in the trailer. Yeah. What do you think, Declan?
To be honest, what I was actually thinking is completely different to you all. When I saw the red smoke bomb, I was thinking of like the galal powder that the people use in the Hindi Festive Light, and I was thinking, because there's some RPG elements in this game, could we get crafting tools like smoke bombs where you could use different coloured powder, like galal powder, to change the colour of smoke bombs? So you could have some that are standard smoke, but you could change the colour to like a red colour, green, because to be honest, that would make some killer photo mode shots if you could customise your tools. Would be cool.
So you're thinking like the Revelation style, lots of different bombs, ingredients, recipes, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, and if there is, I don't know if galal powder is something that, or some equivalent, but I think that'd be really cool to have that sort of extra ingredient to make an extra flair into it. It'd be kind of fun.
I'm ready for our rainbow assassin.
Absolutely.
SixKeys is on my mind. I'll put as many powders in just for the photo mode.
Just have like this photo mode shot with like you launch 10 different colored smoke bombs and then put Basim in the middle.
Oh my god, that would be so cool. I think I can already see the microtransactions of like, oh, you can have yellow smoke bombs, you can have rainbow color smoke bombs.
No, don't give them ideas, for God's sakes. No.
Glitter smoke bombs that leave glitter on Basim's body as he runs through them.
And blame it on Animus glitches.
Yep. Hey, look, if we can have a Unibear, we can have a glitter bomb, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, you could have different colors denoting different properties of smoke bombs. Like one, let's say, one is actually filled with sleep powder, another with berserk powder. One is just for smoke screen.
That would be cool. I think, like, going back to AC4 Black Flag days, of like, doesn't Basim have like a blowpipe of sorts too?
I think they've said the blowpipe will be there as a tool. I think I have heard that or read that.
Yeah,
they did mention that, like in Valhalla, you didn't actually technically you didn't have smoke bombs because they weren't invented yet, as I understand it. So you had, or at least they weren't in that part of the world. So you had Eivor, like she could hit a sack of flour and that would create the smoke effect, which I thought was clever. But they did confirm that in Mirage, they are going to give players tools, even if it's not technically necessarily historically accurate, just to kind of make gameplay more fun. Because in Valhalla, you did have smoke bombs, but they were like tied to weapon perks or armor perks, and people didn't always really like that. So it was more like, if you get 3 perfect parries in a row, then you drop a smoke bomb automatically. But people kind of want that control over when they can use tools and in what situations.
It's one thing I wanted to ask. I don't know if this has been mentioned by any of the devs yet, but do you know if we're still going to have this adrenaline resource, or is it going to be back to just having a finite set of tools and ammunition?
They haven't mentioned that yet.
No, okay.
God, I hope it's the latter. I just want tools and ammunitions. Just make it a small game. Don't overcomplicate it with like tools and like abilities. I know we will have some tools, but like having that meter of like what is it called again? It's like a meter of
they call it adrenaline in adrenaline. The RPG games.
Yeah, like I don't like that option because it disables my intent of action for like what 10 seconds or like 5 seconds, and I need it at that moment, and it's like, come on, dude, like I just want to use my ammunition set. But yeah, that's my thought on it. Declan?
I just want to bring up 2 points. First one, in the terms of the adrenaline, which is classed as a mana wheel in most RPGs, I mean, the way they make it around it is crafting, because crafting would act the same way as mana wheel. So if you have 5 smoke bombs that are OP, it's the same as saying I've got 5 smoke bombs that I can only use on 5 adrenaline bars. So instead of adrenaline, and then it's that more of a realistic risk reward of, okay, if I craft 10, that's 10 uses, but if I don't, then I can't complain that I've got no smoke bombs. So that'd be a good way of leveling it. But the comment I wanted to make was a great segue from SixKeys, is using tools that may not be historically accurate. One could argue with what Darby mentioned. I think it was either on the Sisterhood server or Twitter. He mentioned about remembered history instead of actually being real history when you view genetic memories. So one could argue that even if the tools are not historically accurate because they're not written down, they're still part of a remembered history. So you could argue that in that time zone for the hidden ones, those tools were historically accurate because they created them just because nobody written down, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and the hidden ones have, of course, always been kind of ahead of their times in some ways. Like Leonardo da Vinci in AC2 was kind of used as a loophole to allow Ezio to have the hidden gun, which wouldn't have otherwise made sense, and just having all these, or like a parachute in Brotherhood and stuff like that. So
yeah,
a parachute. I mean, Leonardo da Vinci did create a parachute that well, he didn't create it, he just like sketched it out, but like, yeah, I agree, like they took their liberties to like actually make the parachute, and for Ezio to like descend down, but yeah, like whatever Leonardo had in his calculations was effective back then. He even says like, it would be effective to do this. He just never did the things that he planned out. But yeah, go ahead.
Can I ask you all a quick question on this topic? So let's assume for a minute that Basim gets a fixed number of tools. We saw in this trailer, like poison gas emitting mines. We saw potentially this red smoke bomb. Now, let's assume that a historian says actually none of these things existed until the 11th century or whatever. Is that going to bother any of you?
No, not really. I think like for me, like if you have smoke bombs and some ways where I can be a sneaky assassin, and you portray history right in the game story, I'm okay with that. Like gadgets are just gonna be a player's choice of like handling things.
It's not going to bother me because of like what I mentioned, that assassins have always been sort of ahead of the curve. So you can suspend your disbelief to the extent that maybe they had secret knowledge that they were able to make these tools before it was discovered by the rest of mankind, that kind of thing. I'm fine with that. As long as it's not... What I don't like is if it goes too far, but I kind of doubt that they will do that. Like, I mean, like fantasy weapons and stuff like that.
Yeah, as long as Basim doesn't get like a Gatling gun or something.
Yes,
like
yeah.
God, no. That
coming to a Helix store near you.
Exactly, yeah.
that would be like a boundary crossing. Like, you know, it's like, dude, no guns, no sort of like anything. I don't even want them to like for example, I'm pretty sure Basim is gonna get something out of the House of Wisdom, like some type of gadget from there, from like an inventor of the time. But I swear, if they show like a codex for wait, did Altair create the gun codex thing?
He did, yeah.
So he like came up with it. People before cannot have like a gun that shoots a blade that shoots out like a gun, right?
No.
Oh, I see your point. Right.
I mean, not with bullets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. I don't want that to happen. You know. But James, you were going to say something.
I was just going to make a very quick point, and again, this is we won't know until we play the game. But I'll be curious as to how. We don't know how many tools Basim will have. We've seen a couple of sort of bomb type weapons. We've seen Roshan, which we'll get to her in a minute, throwing knives. That might be it, but there might be more tools. Potentially there's a blowpipe as well. I'll just be curious as to how the game will evolve and progress. You know, will these be skills that Basim has to learn from a skill tree and you have to take the choice as the player, or will it be more like AC2 and Brotherhood, where more AC2, where certain points in the story, you know, Ezio learns a new skill from one of the other characters, like he learns the climb leap, or he's taught how to blend and pickpocket at the end of a certain sequence. So I'll just be curious to see will Basim get access to tools as he progresses as an assassin and through the story, or will it be a case of, you know, there'll still be some of those sort of RPG light elements where you'll earn XP and then you'll decide, you know, do you want Basim to learn throwing knives or throwing knives level 2 or, you know, whatever. I'll just be curious. I'm not sure if I have a particular preference at the moment, but it'll just be interesting to see. Over to you, Declan.
I know I'm going to get absolute lynch for this, but I hope it's a skill tree, because learning from the mentor would make a lot of sense. But also learning in the skill tree will also show how Basim's going from street urchin to assassin. You know, he's learning, because this is, they've described it as a coming in age story for Basim. So having a Unity style skill tree, I wouldn't say anything as big as Origins or Valhalla, but very small, where you can unlock tools, or you unlock the knowledge and then you go back to your mentor to train them, as you would in AC1, where you go to the ring and you'll learn like the counterattack. I think that would build up more realistic of Basim evolving and growing. But I don't know, I think it's going to have RPG-like elements, so maybe it's just like AC1 and AC2's fighting ring, where you go there and you suddenly learn them, which I think wouldn't be really, I don't know what the word is, but wouldn't really be believable for him growing as an assassin, in my opinion. I think Arsh's mic's broke.
It did go very quiet there. Can you hear us, Arshak?
Yeah, can you hear us?
Yes, mate, you're back.
Okay. Cool. Awesome. Yeah, something happened there, but I didn't touch anything. Anyway, I think, were you finished with your point, Declan?
Yeah, I was, buddy.
Okay. But yeah, like I agree with like Declan's point of view of like having a skill tree, but like not having a skill tree that is like Valhalla, like, just like go any way you want, have the Viking dash, have the have all sorts of skills that, like, if you get to it, you have it. I uh I I don't like that. Like, that's like, oh, okay, I I can do I can like run into an enemy right now, or I can do like this extra skill or something, when there was like nothing to like teach me how to do that skill. Um what I suggest is have the skill tree uh blocked into levels. So like, if you reach level 3, um you'll unlock these skill sets. If you reach level 4, you'll unlock those skill sets. um that would be like a, not only would it be like having the player play the game and learning new skills, but like, um it fits into the story really well, and it delivers on having Basim come from like this street thief into a master assassin with all these skills, you know.
It's going to be, I'm genuinely curious just to see, because they've said very clearly this is going to be, I don't think the developers have said this, but I think it's been quoted or paraphrased in the press as, a return to basics, which I think you can kind of interpret however you like. But the developers have very clearly said they want this to be kind of an homage to the first game, taking lots of elements from all the other games. So I'm just genuinely fascinated to see what will they do with the things that we've become very familiar with over Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla: adrenaline, tools, skill tree, XP, all this stuff that for the last 5 years has been kind of core to how these games progress you and progress your character. Will they just delete it all and just go back to tools, and each of us as players progress at the same rate through the chapters or through the sequences or whatever they call them? I get, maybe they'll go back to calling them memories rather than quests. Who knows? But yeah, I'm just really interested to see what can the developers do with this kind of focus and approach. For such a different style of game to what we've had for the last while. You've both got your hands up. SixKeys, go ahead.
I think I read somewhere that they mentioned that they're not going to have a whole different slew of weapons like Valhalla or any of the RPG games, where instead they are hoping to model it after AC4, where you only had 4 weapons, basically. You had your fists, hidden blade, short blade, and your sword. Yeah. And I think that's really interesting, because Valhalla's main loop, basically, is everything is about loot. Like, even in, we don't know how the Tombs of the Fallen Part 2 is going to work out, but people are already kind of expecting, they've been guessing what's in the vault, that's been locked all this time. And it's kind of like, is it just going to be another weapon or armor set? Because everything in that game revolves around finding weapons and finding armors. That's basically.
Yeah,
And I
basically.
think it's interesting that they are, if that's going to be what ends up happening in Mirage, is if they're actually going to pare down the weapons to those 4 essentials, because that's what I love about AC1 is that each weapon has a specific purpose. Like the short blade is not, it maybe doesn't do as much damage as the sword, but it's faster. And you can also, it doubles as hidden, it doubles as throwing knives as well. And then the sword, of course, does more damage, and it's, I think, better at blocking as well. And the hidden blade, you can't block with it, but you can one-shot kill if you get the timing right. And then the fists, of course, are just used for beating up people for information. So I love that each weapon actually has a purpose, and it's not just, oh, I guess I'm gonna get a new spear now because spears are cool, I guess. You know?
Yeah.
Oh, here is a bright spear named Gungnir. I found it. Out of nowhere.
Yeah, just randomly sitting in this rock somewhere.
Yeah. But I mean, I gotta give Valhalla like some sort of credit. It was a game that had a lot of content in it. But like, you know, it's like without these contents, you wouldn't have like so much development life cycles. You know, making Mirage, making um AC Red, Hexe, and stuff like that. Like Valhalla gave a really long time, like 2 years time, to like work on these games. And like, you know, that's why I'm like very anticipated to like see it. Yeah, especially that it's being handled by a very new I don't know if it's very new, but it, it's a studio that we do not know of, except, I mean, I think they did the Wrath of the Druids DLC. But yeah, like, I'm really excited about Ubisoft Bordeaux getting to make this and keeping it short. And then afterwards, if AC Red follows like uh the Valhalla way of doing things, or the Odyssey way of doing things, it's a 150-hour game. They probably will, but I mean, it remains up to them and the fan feedback. Go ahead, James.
Just on the studio point, I think, now I may get the names wrong. I don't think Bordeaux are leading the development of Mirage, but I think it was UB Montpellier that led Wrath of the Druids. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. I've heard some people with sort of very negative thoughts. Oh, you know, there's a new or relatively new studio working on Mirage. It's probably going to suck. And I'll be honest, I don't take that attitude. Maybe I'm an optimist, but I like the idea of a studio with fresh ideas and fresh people. And you know what? Ultimately, it might suck, but maybe it won't. And maybe people approaching it, you know, in this way, saying, right, we know what we want to base it on. We've got some clear ideas. We're borrowing lots of segments or ideas from earlier games, but also we're not, what's the right way of saying it? Our approach and our thoughts are not constrained by the games that we've been working on for many years before. So I'm always an optimist, and I'll be very interested just to see what they can deliver. Go on, SixKeys.
I just think it's also, many of these smaller studios have worked on the DLCs for, I don't remember which studio did what, but, you know, Odyssey's DLCs with Atlantis and Tyranny of King Washington. Well, that was Quebec back then, but what was Origins had the Curse of the Pharaohs, and these, of course, you know, you get these more fantasy DLCs, which are not necessarily to everyone's taste, but I do think a lot of them have, whatever you may think of them, they have a lot of interesting gameplay ideas.
Yes.
And that's something that I really hope that we can see more of in the future, is these studios clearly have some good ideas to give them the opportunity to sort of spread their wings, whether it's inside AC or outside. Maybe they can work on their own games and kind of explore whatever they want to do. But they often have these great creative ideas that they bring into AC, and you almost wish like you could see that in the main games as well. It's like, oh, this is such a cool mechanic. Why can't we have this in the main game?
You make as you were speaking there, I was about to say exactly the same thing. Seeing these new teams fly is a really interesting thing. But you took the words right out of my mouth. But yeah. It was I want to say it was wasn't it Montpellier that did Dead Kings and Jack the Ripper? I think it was. It was maybe I've got the studio wrong, but it was the same studio that did both, and they both had nice little evolutions of the base game, plus some really nice change to the atmosphere of the base game. So yeah, I'm all for the smaller studios trying stuff. Try it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But it will be good that they've tried. So yeah, I'm always positive and interested. Can we talk about a big topic that was it was a part of the trailer, right at the end of the trailer, and then it's been a big discussion over the weekend with Darby sharing some of his kind of writer's thoughts on the topic of sages. So can we talk about the djinn? And I'm wondering, Arshak, if you could maybe explain to us what is a djinn from a cultural point of view, from a storytelling point of view, from a religious point of view, and maybe we can go from there.
Well, a djinn is like basically they're crafted in Islamic tradition to be from prehistoric fires. Thing like they are spiritual beings that can see humans and interfere in their lives. But humans can only see a jinn if it takes a form that allows itself to be seen in there, which is rare when it happens. So like I think it happening to Basim is one of those rare instances where I think it's happening to a human, which a genie it takes a form that is allowing him to see it, and they are like they do come they appear through smoke too, and like they can shapeshift as well. But like upon my research, like this they appear through smoke was pretty interesting, because in the trailer you see a djinn appearing through smoke, and I'm like, whoa. So yeah.
I think one of the things I found research, because I found quite a lot the same as you, Ash, because mythologies and supernatural stuff is like up my alley. I'll find anything. And the thing that caught my eye in one of the articles is sometimes jinn can only overtake somebody through possession when they're at their weakest. And that got me thinking, when you look at Assassin's Creed with sages, there is a lot of talk that a lot of sage memories resurface when people are remembering specific events. So Sigurd losing his arm, he remembers Tyr's memories. Eivor being attacked by the wolf. So you would then argue that at Basim's weakest moment would be losing his family, will be what awakens his real memories from being Loki, which then I know it's not a possession, as what Darby did discuss, but you could look at it that the Jinn takes over at Basim's weakest moment, so the memories resurface at Basim's weakest moment, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I mean, historically speaking, I mean, this is like in the eight like 800s and stuff like that, and like if Islamic uh tra- tradition is like I mean, the jinn is written in the Quran itself, and like it it does mention like three types of like spiritual beings, like angels, demons, and jinn. And if uh Basim is living in this time period, and he has this like or already has like a uh his own thoughts, his own beliefs. So when this big moment happens in his life, he's already he's gonna start thinking of like, oh God, like, you know, the jinn of my son is coming after me, or of like one of his family members is coming after me, you know. uh like that's how he'll be connected to Loki. Like he wouldn't know of Loki uh just as is. He needs to be there. There has to be like a messenger to introduce him to a Loki version. So yeah, like that's how I see it coming. Like memory gets well, not big shock factor, Jin, and then Loki happens, you know, as is. SixKeys, what's up?
I wanted to ask, I'm curious if you know, from a cultural perspective, I think a lot of people in the West mostly know jinn or genie as something like in Aladdin, you know, as just this like fantastical creature, something from a fairy tale. But do you think, is there, I don't know if you're religious personally or not, but do you think that's something that they need to sort of tread carefully in depicting it in a respectful way? Like, are genies comparable to angels and demons, or are they specific to Islam or something?
Um, I I don't I don't think. I mean, I've seen the works of genies in Islam works, like in Arabic works. So I think like they do originate in an Islam world, because if the Quran is talking about if the Quran is talking about them, then uh, they are of specific importance of the Quran. And I think the start of Islam, like the start of Islam, is marked in the year 610, right? And we're playing in 800 something, like I,
It's about
before.
860, isn't it? 850, 860, I think.
Yeah, 850, 860. So like around this time, uh Islam has lived on for like 200 years. Plus, if you have like these words written in there about the genie, uh then Basim would come to believe in them just because they were written in the Quran. So like, um, if they would portray the Islam world in Assassin's Creed Mirage, uh, I say I say they should take it from like you know Islamic scholars, and yeah, tread lightly, because it's a religion that they're trying to interpret how it can best serve them in their story. You know, does that answer your question, Six Keys?
Yeah, I think so. I was just
Yeah,
curious because, of course, we've had AC3 where they tried their best to be respectful of native beliefs while also telling this story in a grounded way where, they didn't want to be disrespectful of things like, animal spirits or things like that. So they kind of had to tread very carefully in depicting a culture that the developers themselves may not have been very familiar with. So I was just wondering if that's maybe something that is the case in Mirage as well, because in the West we have a very different uh, idea about genies
Disney.
than yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So
but in Islamic works like I think 1001 Nights, uh like the collection of like stories, uh, I think it's genies are written as people well, not people, sorry, like beings that are a give and take kind of being, like for example, in one of the stories, uh this sailor, this the this sailor, like a fisherman, is like fishing. he doesn't he doesn't catch anything during the day, and then he stumbles upon this, like, past, like, emperor's urn or something, and then he opens it up, and a genie comes out of it, and then he tricks the genie uh back into the urn, and tells him, like, and then the genie tells him, like, let me out, and if you let me out, I won't do anything to you, and I'll grant you one wish. So, he's like giving, but then he's also taking. So yeah, there is some sort of like a give and take in the genie personality. I just don't know what, but I think Basim would give his body um to the jinn eventually, but what's the jinn taking? I don't know how to word it, but
Oh, so you're saying that with a gin, you never get something for free. If
yeah,
it gives you
yeah,
something, it will take something back, to maintain balance or something like that.
yeah, like he
Gotcha.
in that story, he got let out, and the fisherman uh thing was able to fish in the most prominent area of, like, fishing, and like he got this, like, very famous, like, very very rare fish or something like that, but the jinn already took his deal and got freed, basically. So yeah, like, in Mirage's case, like, I have no idea how it's gonna turn out. I have to think about it, but um God knows, like, we're gonna see it in game. Declan, what's up?
So, give and take got me thinking that the simple answer could be that Loki gives Basim his memories, and what he takes is Basim's old life. Because I know it's not, as Darby explained, it's not like a parasite taking over a host. It's nothing like that. But you've got to understand from a person's point of view that your life is the sum of your memories. A man is the sum of his memories, is a famous quote. if you're suddenly given memories of your old life, how can you then go back to living your old life? How can you walk the same streets knowing that in another life, these streets were completely different? So the give and take could be that giving Basim his old memories back as Loki takes away his old life, because he's no longer just Basim the street urchin. He's Basim who was an Isu, a Basim who was there when the world fell apart, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, also like memory, like maybe Basim cannot live with what has happened to his family, and like the the jinn the jinn can take some of that misery away, and like let him have like this uh advantage, like a deified advantage uh over the situations he's gonna handle, or something like that. It might be something like that. James.
I was listening to the conversation over the last few minutes, and two things occurred to me, which I don't know yet. Maybe there's no way. Maybe someone will speculate and get it right. But the elephant in the room is that we know, because we've already played Valhalla, that Basim, and this kind of, my understanding of how these Aesir sages worked is perhaps wrong based on the explanation that Darby gave, because I kind of interpreted Loki, Havi, Tyr, etc., as kind of like a fully complete consciousness / personality that's just repressed or shut down, and then it becomes activated, and it fights with the host. So Odin kind of fights with Eivor, Loki fights with Basim for control of the body, should we say. So the two consciousnesses are fighting for control of the physical form. That's how I kind of understood what Valhalla was presenting to me on the screen. And at certain points, like when Basim, I think it's in the final showdown with Eivor in Yggdrasil, I think Basim says a line something like, all this time you were right in front of me. So he's not speaking like Basim, who is accessing intermittently certain memories of Loki. He's speaking to me as Loki, which kind of conflicts with how Darby said, I wrote these, or I imagined these sages more as hidden memories that like an amnesiac would have, that they would sometimes be able to recall these memories. So there's that fact that we know from Valhalla, so 10, 15 years in the future of the game story that we're going to get in Mirage, that this kind of transformation will happen. But we've also been told, there was a tweet, I think, from Sarah Beaulieu, whose name I've probably horribly mispronounced. She's the narrative director, I believe, for Mirage. She has said that myth is not one of the core components or one of the core pillars of the game. So what I'm just wondering, and SixKeys, I'll hand over to you in just a sec. I'm just wondering, how will they... Sorry, the other component is, because we've played Valhalla, I think we're going into this game with an expectation that we're going to see Loki, or we're going to see Basim's quote-unquote transformation. So I just wonder how the developers and the writers are going to square this circle of what we know happens in Valhalla versus what we've kind of interpreted or understood from how these sages work, versus the long kind of conversation that we had on Twitter over the weekend with Darby and lots of other people chipping in with really interesting interpretations and thoughts of how these sages work or don't work. So I, again, don't really have a point, just that I'll be curious as to how they kind of don't use myth as a pillar, but also address what players were probably going to expect to see. So over to you, SixKeys.
So I feel like the reason that I feel like there has to be a reason why Darby took this moment to kind of clarify this, because of course a lot
yes.
of people have been speculating about the assumption, I think, for most people was that the Jinn equals Loki, and that Loki is like a separate entity who takes over Basim, who is like that there are two separate people. But then Darby, of course, wanted to clarify how he has always written sages, and I feel like there's a reason why he's doing that. So it's probably something that we will see in Mirage, so this is the way they are handling it in that game. So, but what I find interesting is that now that, Sarah clarified with her comments that mythology is not part of their core pillars, and, that they have seen all the theories floating around and none of them are correct so far.
Yeah.
What I find interesting is that now people are sort of starting to wonder, well, if it's not Loki, then what is it? What does it represent? And I've already seen, I think, Ceres07 mentioned, like, it could be a representation of trauma, for example, that maybe it represents Basim's nightmares that he's having for some reason. Maybe it represents his trauma about his family, because there's apparently some sort of betrayal that, his father was the architect of the Great Mosque of Samarra, but then he was exiled, and somebody else took the credit for his work, and he died in poverty, stuff like that. So there's clearly a lot of issues that that he's working through. So it could be that, but I'm also wondering, why do we see the Jinn at the specific moment that we do in the trailer? Why does it appear at the moment of an assassination?
I may have a theory, but the problem with my theory is it relies on mythology. So I know my theory is completely wrong already, but I think it's important to think about, and that's Loki is based off the Norse mythology, and I know from conversation with Darby, must have read a lot of Norse myth, but nobody in the games yet has explored Loki's children. We all are assuming that Loki's children in the whole Valhalla sequence is Fenrir, who was bound, Hel, who we see in Dawn of Ragnarok and the new DLC, and Jormungandr, who is totally off screen. But there's actually 2 other kids Loki has, and Loki is responsible for the death of one of the kids. By Loki killing Balder, his punishment in myth, when he was caught, was he was bound to a rock, and when he was bound to the rock, his son was forced in front of Loki's eyes to kill his brother, because it was the same punishment as Loki killing a sibling, because it's a very big act. And it's got me wondering that, what if Basim himself was accidentally responsible for the death of one of his children? I know people don't agree, because a trauma should not be used like that as a story beat in Assassin's Creed. But for me, for Basim's struggle and with the assassination of taking a life, I really think that death plays very much important on what's weighing on Basim's mind, and I really think that his actions as an urchin or something may have cost him the life of one of his family members, not specifically a child. But I really think that when people say, like, what's triggered the memories with Loki, is it that his son was bound and then killed because of Harvey? Is it because his daughter was banished to another realm? Is it because his third child was, in the myth, chained somewhere, wrapped around the world? But I know Jesus can't be wrapped around the world. But it's just thinking that no one's ever explored that it could be that Loki in the myth was responsible for his son killing his son. So you could then probably think that maybe his anger with Odin is that Odin wanted blood for blood, so an eye for an eye. So to lose a son, he must take a son, and to do that, he took Loki's child. And in the same punishment as Loki killing Balder, he made Loki's eldest kill his youngest, if that makes sense. I know mythology is wild, and admit it's probably off topic completely, but it's just got me thinking that we don't know anything about Loki's family in the games, and maybe his 2 secret children may have something to do with it. SixKeys.
Yeah, that's of course a possibility. I'm just thinking if it's a smaller game, I feel like that would require a lot of explaining from their part, to go into all of that, like to explain, oh, this is something that happened in the mythology to Loki, and here we have a reflection of that in Basim's life, and it's like that's a huge thing that they would have to explain.
Hopefully they don't go into any mythological worlds or anything like that, because that's the additional explanation that will happen, or something like that. But yeah, just
I feel like that would be overcomplicating what could be a pretty straightforward story.
Yeah.
But what I was thinking is, of course, this is just a theory at the moment, but I'm curious why the Jinn in the trailer appears at the moment of the assassination. And like you mentioned, Declan, is that it could have something to do with death. It could be representative of Basim's memories of something like the death of a family member or a friend, or who knows. Or it could be also representative of some kind of guilt. So, we see in this moment where he kills a person, and that's when the Jinn appears. So it's like, why does it emerge at that moment? Is it maybe that he feels some sort of guilt about who he's becoming? Is he maybe feeling guilty about that he's become a murderer, wrestling with all these heavy emotions? Maybe there's something he recognizes inside of him, because right before he plunges the blade into his target, he has this kind of very cold expression. And it could be that he's maybe afraid of what he's starting to recognize inside himself. And that's represented by the Jinn. So that's my theory at the moment.
It could be that he enjoyed it, and then he's frightened of the fact that he found himself enjoying it.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, I think I forget who said it earlier, but it could be he may have observed the death of his family. He may have accidentally contributed to it. And yeah, like you said, Six, he's kind of seeing like a reflected guilt, which manifests itself as this Jinn. I want to ask you all a quick question. I know lots of hands are up here, so we'll go to each of you to make your points, but just a very quick question for all three of you. Start with Declan. If it's left unexplained or ambiguous, or if we kind of don't mention Loki at all, or again, it's left very ambiguous, would that bother you, or would you kind of be satisfied with the open-endedness of it? That's a question for all three of you, but Declan, you go first, mate.
Of course it's going to bother me. Honestly, I've been here 15 years because of the Isu. I adore Isu history, I adore Isu lore. Last 3 games giving us mythology as an act towards mythology lore, and now one of the most potent figures in Norse mythology, potent figures Loki, is getting this big setup, and Mirage is like, okay, let's just drop it. I'll be like, yeah, I'm already not happy that you're not explaining who his kids are in the whole scenario, but I would be annoyed.
Understood. What about you, Arshak? What would your reaction be if we didn't see, we kind of didn't fully explore or explain the Jinn and Loki and everything else?
they have to explain. They have to explain why Basim feels the way that he is, and what triggers him to let Loki in, because like it just when he had that traumatic experience, Loki was somehow awakened in him. I think like that's the way Darby explains it. It's like, the Norse gods version of like the sages experience thing, is that the person has to have like that traumatic experience, and then Loki is triggered in him, and Basim already said yes to him from the events of Valhalla. How, if that's not in there, it's gonna be a pretty like kind of like, it's not gonna lead up to AC Valhalla. Like, what I want to do is play AC Mirage and then play Valhalla again, and understand like Loki,
Understood, mate. That makes sense. It will be interesting to sort of go back to Valhalla's story and certain cutscenes and conversations.
And then you'll be like,
yeah,
you'll have that aha moment, I think, which will pay it off in some sorts.
Absolutely. Yeah. What about you, SixKeys? How would you react to that if the story didn't cover those topics?
It depends on how it's depicted, but I would be disappointed because it would feel like they're ignoring a huge part of the lore, a huge part of why we even got this game in the first place.
Yes. Yeah. Understood.
Like, I'm okay if they don't go into everything. Like, they don't need to do a whole previously in Assassin's Creed kind of thing with, like a recap of Valhalla, but they don't need to go into all of the Isu stuff in the background for, there might be new players who might be confused by that. Who knows?
I would love... Go ahead, sorry.
No, I would still like them to at least have that we would see sort of the moment when these two personalities start to meld into one. So
yeah,
they definitely need to touch upon that in some way.
I would love a scene previously on Assassin's Creed with like William Miles again, just like in Assassin's Creed 3, and then he'll end it with like, now I got this guy bothering me from the past.
That would be perfect.
Oh no, Arshak, I've got a much better way. So Mirage, you click new game, you get a black screen and the game loads, and it's a black screen, and all you hear is Warren Viddick's voice. Get in the animus, Basim.
Oh my god!
And then we go straight to Baghdad. That's it, just one line of dialogue.
Of course, the only problem is that Viddick is dead.
I know. We have to very seriously retcon that one, but it would just be so funny to hear that voice from the past, suddenly saying, "Get in the animus, Basim."
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. Arshak, I think you wanted to make a point and move on to a new point.
Actually, real quick, just upon that point, what do we call him? Is he Basim or is he Loki in modern day?
Let's just call him Basim or Loki.
No, but I mean, like that's something that they haven't addressed in Valhalla. Like, what do Sean and Rebecca call him? Is he Loki or is he Basim?
He's Boki.
He's Basim. Call him Basim.
Yes.
Oh dear.
Or the hot one. You probably just call him the hot one. Is a Norse god? Which one? The hot one.
Imagine Loki eating Pokey.
Oh no! I feel a whole new meme series coming on.
We already had a question about whether whether Basim would eat pineapple on pizza or not.
Oh
no.
Yeah!
Don't reopen that wound. Oh my word! But I believe you recently tried it, SixKeys, and liked it.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I can like pizza.
Marco might be hearing us, guys.
Oh no, we've just had our entry to Italy cancelled. If we ever want to visit, yeah.
Oh no, yeah. It's okay. It's okay. We still have sorry.
True.
All right.
Arshak, you wanted to move on, I believe, to something else?
Yeah. I think I wanted to move on to one of the other more prominent characters in the AC Mirage trailer, Roshan. And just like, dive in deep and like see what what's up with Roshan. What are you guys expecting Roshan's story to be and stuff like that? Go ahead, James.
I'll just make 2 quick points, and then I definitely want to hand over to SixKeys. So I'll just say, just from the point of view of now, I guess this is more of a transmedia point than a game point. It's been a good year for female mentors and other major characters. We've got Roshan as the mentor of the Baghdad, or we don't know exactly what they're going to be called yet, but the Brotherhood there in Baghdad. We've had in Mega's conspiracy, Amira, the mentor of the Parisian Brotherhood in the 1850s. And then in Sword of the White Horse, which takes place during Valhalla's time, we've had Marcella, who is a mentor from Rome, plus Neve, who is the kind of protagonist of that book. So it's been a good year for actually having some decent representation of women. But I was fascinated by Roshan, and I don't know her backstory, but I can't wait to find out more. Over to you, SixKeys. What was your reaction when we saw her in the trailer?
I also wanted to mention that I've noticed that they've started using canon Eivor, aka female Eivor, more in all the trailers and crossovers as well. So that's a plus point for representation as well.
Definitely.
But yeah, I unfortunately we don't know much about her at this point, but I already love her voice.
Oh my word! Yes,
amazing, and I love that we are actually going to have a mature woman, as they described her, as the mentor, because it's not really something we see often, to be honest.
50 and still kicking.
Exactly, yeah. Like, she's about the same age, probably, as Ezio in Revelations, maybe a little bit younger.
Yeah.
But, is Ezio as old as 50 in Revelations?
I think he was even older.
Wow.
Probably 60.
He was pushing 60.
Yeah.
Damn, dude can move. I'm impressed.
Yeah.
I hope I can move that. No, I can't even move that well now. Whatever. Anyway, yeah, it was the age as well as the gender I was really impressed by. How often are older women depicted in media, even in film? I mean, there are plenty of roles for older men, and roles for older women seem a lot rarer. So
yeah, and it's often kind of like, they if it's a supporting character, they kind of pick her as like the eye candy for the male audience. Yeah. And I feel like that's something that they're trying to avoid here, hopefully.
AKA
that she's actually an interesting character in her own right.
I heard that, Arshak, but I'm not going to react because
she is cute, okay?
Oh, I'm not saying she can't be cute. Yeah. I'm just saying she's not designed for the male gaze.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what an entrance, her parkouring in, and she parkours off one of the lamps or whatever, the flower pots hanging from the corner straight into an air assassination with the superhero landing. It was so great.
I think that particular time in history where she saves Basim, she might be like 35 years old, or just like in her late 30s, and then doesn't it take a lot to become a master assassin? You know what I mean? She will age.
Yeah, that's a good point. We don't know, I suppose, how many years. Do we know how many years this story will cover?
I think the anarchy at Samara, well, that whole situation takes place between 9 years.
Okay.
861 to 869. So there's like a ballpark. Yeah.
So she may be around 40 at the start of the story and around 50 at the end, or start at 50, end at 60. We don't know, but
I wanted to ask at the end of Valhalla, when Hytham receives a letter from like the Assassin's Bureau or something like that. Like it was the mentor that sent it the same person as Roshan, or no? No,
No,
right?
that was
No.
mentor Rayhan.
Rayhan, right? So
Yeah.
like Roshan uh, would be this character of like, she might be the one that betrays Basim, or not. I have no idea. But
Or maybe that she does something that he perceives as a betrayal.
yeah, exactly, to like save the Brotherhood or something like
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
because we do know that there's apparently going to be some clashes between them. Like he starts off a little cocky and maybe crosses some lines that she's not too fond of. So that there's going to be some friction there.
but yeah, basically. But we do know that she was a slave before. Um, before coming in. But by the way, one person that has been quiet in this conversation is Declan. What do you think about her?
To be honest, I think she's a really interesting character. Again, I know I'm gonna get lynched, but I would have
You
actually
get lynched a lot, bro.
Yeah, my opinion. I've had to delete Facebook because half of these episodes in an old Assassin's Creed group I had on Facebook, amount of threats I was getting from my comments was just stupid. When I once mentioned that Ezio wasn't an assassin for 10 years, yeah, I got some very dodgy reactions on Facebook. But
Oh man,
It's true though.
yeah. But I think, in my opinion, I would have rather seen her as the lead of Mirage instead of Basim, just because, from a story point, as a person who's addicted to novels, you expect someone's story to evolve over time, not in a prequel, if that makes sense. Like reading Harry Potter, and Harry Potter's past is just answered in a prequel instead of over the next 7 books. So I would have preferred it if she was the lead of Mirage and there was an original story, and then Basim's stories evolved over the next games. But either way, I think she's a fantastic character and the voice is superb.
man, I can't wait to play as Basim finally. And here you are telling me like you want her to be the main character. Of course, like I'd love to have her as the main character. Like, hopefully, we get to play as her in the story, just like we played with Aya or something. But yeah, you know, uh, it would be cool. James,
A quick question for all three of you. Do we know if there's going to be any transmedia linked to this game that might explore her story or Basim's even younger days?
not yet. I don't know.
Okay.
There is that novel that's coming up, The Golden City. But that's,
okay.
as far as we know, it centers on Hytham and Basim. So it's probably going to take place in his older years.
Okay.
Right before Valhalla, probably.
I really want to see Hytham again. Oh, that would be amazing.
Oh my god, imagine baby Hytham in this game.
Oh,
Because he's
yeah.
only 17 in Valhalla at the beginning of that game. Like,
Seriously?
imagine if we see him. Yeah, he doesn't look 17. I'll say that.
Yeah, he doesn't look 17.
But
oh man,
he would be even younger if we saw him in Mirage. So that would be so cool. Like, imagine in the end when like Basim becomes a mentor, and we would see him like taking Hytham under his wing.
yeah. And then he'll spend the eternity of his life in one four walled house in Ravensford. In Ravensford.
Exactly.
Oh, Arshak, I mean, if you'd like to explore the further adventures of Hytham, then Sword of the White Horse has some good Hytham stuff in it. He doesn't spend his entire time in England in one hut in Ravensthorpe. I know he spends most of his time there, but yeah, he does get out a little bit in Sword of the White Horse.
Yeah.
Also, speaking of Roshan, of course, we don't know how the game is going to do, but, never shut out the possibility that if people really love her character, maybe we can get another spin-off that focuses on her life.
I'm down. I think I already love her. I think it's just like she's the epitome of an assassin, and that's what Basim is trying to get to. So yeah, it would be cool to see. Declan?
So this is on a different topic, and I'm very conscious of how much time we got left. So I think we could use this as a closing thought from all of you. We know since Assassin's Creed Black Flag, when they started dropping the names into the titles, every name hints at a reason behind the name. So Black Flag Pirates, Unity, Co-op, and Elise. What could Mirage mean for Assassin's Creed Mirage? Because I have no clue.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean.
I mean,
the cynical part of me wants to say it's marketing choosing a word that's somehow tied to in the Western audience's mind to the Middle East somehow. So they're thinking of deserts. But I hope it's deeper than that.
It's also like, I feel what Basim must be feeling like. Well, no, it's like a mirage can be like something that you're seeing, but you don't clearly know what it is, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Because as we see in Origins, a mirage is usually an environmental illusion due to heat and stress. So it's basically an illusion due to heat. So
yeah, so like that could be his illusion, just like or like his he doesn't know what to make of this djinn, and the whole story is kind of him coming into contact with it and trying to get to know it, so it won't be a mirage anymore, kind of thing. Do you get what I mean?
It could even be a less supernatural explanation and just a reference to the fact that the targets you assassinate turn out to be the wrong ones, or the true bad guys are not the bad guys we thought they were, maybe at the start or the middle of the story, or Roshan is not all she seems to be. Who knows?
That would totally play into Loki. That everything's not as it seems. The bad guys aren't really the bad guys, because everyone depicts Loki as the bad guy, but when you read mythology closely, he's just a prankster. He's not inherently evil or bad. He helps Thor get his hammer back by dressing up as Thor as Freya. He, seduces a horse so they could get the builder to do his work for free. He does a lot for people, and he gets so much stick for it. And I heard sniggering that Loki seduces a horse, but yes, Loki seduces a horse, people. Your lovely Basim.
Not just that, he gives birth to a horse as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
What?
Loki. Imagine Basim giving a birth to a horse. Oh,
no,
God.
No.
but yeah, Loki has shapeshifted into a lot of beings, and I think shapeshifting is definitely gonna play a part of it, especially since a djinn can shapeshift. So I think it will remain a Mirage until we play the game.
Oh,
Also, maybe
that's a great ending. Sorry, SixKeys. I didn't mean to speak over you.
Oh no. It's also could refer to like maybe the whole game is about self-perception and sort of like how do you imagine yourself, and is that accurate? Like, are you who you actually think you are?
A whole questioning of identity.
Yeah.
I'll play that story.
Absolutely.
I would, because I tend to bet Loki always questioned his personality. Because judging by how Loki's character is in Isu, he seems like a type of guy who doesn't know what to be. He's with the Northern Aesir who probably disrespect him, so he doesn't know if he should be good, bad, or himself. Mirage.
That's what I love about, Darby's explanation, that it's not actually two different people. It's not that one is good and one is evil, and then the evil one takes over. But it's much more nuanced than that. It's the same person, just they can make the choice whether to embrace the darker parts of their personality or not.
Sorry, Declan.
I was just about to say that's kind of a theme that's been all the way through Assassin's Creed since AC1. We had Altair, who was a little bit of a playboy douche sort of guy who did whatever he wanted, and then he learned to grow up. Did
you just call him a playboy douche? Oh my word!
Oh come on, he breaks the creed
true.
At the very
that is
start
true.
Because he's like, yeah.
I mean, douche, yes. Playboy, not so sure.
Maybe reckless. Anyway,
I don't know. It's staying in my head canon that off screen he was flirting with all the women. It's in my head canon. If he can break the three tenets because he's like, I'm Altair, I can do what I want. I could see him racking up into the town like, yo ladies, what up? Altair's back. Anyone want a piece of this? I can see that. He's just
so what Altair. You're saying is if they do remake AC1, you want romance options for Altair?
Yeah, actually,
you are about to get cancelled, my friend.
I will. I'm not being thing. I'm not a massive fan of romance options because I'm weird. If Altair has them, that's his character, because I swear he was swooning the ladies left, right, and centre. Just saying.
All right. You heard it here first. We must wrap up the recording because Arshak has a deadline that he must keep in like 2 or 3 minutes. I want to make one very quick confession. So in the trailer, we briefly see a castle under construction, and at first I assumed it was a reference to Masyaf. And then a quick discussion afterwards revealed it was Alamut. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, this is confession time. I didn't realise Alamut was a part of the lore. I only knew it from the Prince of Persia Sands of Time film. And with that embarrassing confession done, I'm going to shut up.
Actually, I actually wrote a whole Alamut thread. So if you guys are curious about it, go and have a look at it. But yeah, I think Alamut is very famous landmark of the Hashashins. So it has to be in there. But like I would just love to see some sort of like Prince of Persia hints in Alamut. You know, that would be cool.
I'm with you there.
Yeah, just kind of bringing it full circle. Assassin's Creed started as an inspiration from Prince of Persia, and now we finally get to go to a place Prince of Persia has been in.
In a Prince of Persia inspired skin, no less.
Yeah, exactly.
And now
bringing it back to
we have gone full circle
exactly.
with Basie. Yep. Declan, that is the perfect point to close the show.
I'm just thinking it'd be really cool Easter egg just for him to walk in there, pick up an old jar and it just turns to dust with age, and it just makes everything turns to sand after time. And like, yes, just a perfect little Easter egg. But I don't.
Just imagine Bassam walking in the Alamut Castle with a towel on him. Oh, that would be great.
We haven't talked about parkour, which is of course something that they've been talking about, that they want to bring it back in a big way. But imagine if we could do wall running.
Yes.
Oh, that would be so awesome. That would be like a last level skill tree kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, that would be so awesome. They could just like, copy paste assets and make it happen.
Oh dear. Yeah.
Yeah. Anywho, guys, let's. What do you guys want to do? It's your show.
Cake. Sorry, we've got cake in my brain. So I think that is actually all we've got time for tonight, and I think it's safe to say that Mirage is hyped on everyone's Christmas list. Is it because it's Basim? Yes. Is it because for marketing they released a topless Basim skin for Prince of Persia? Yes. That's the only reason Mirage is getting sold.
Is it because of parkour? Yes.
No. Not parkour. It's Basim. It's Basim. Literally, the next Assassin's Creed game for Infinity is a dating sim, and it's just a Basim dating sim, and sold. You can have that on Ubisoft.
Basim ibn Arshak.
So, thank you all for joining, and I'm really excited to hear what everyone else's thoughts are on Mirage and how hyped you are. So you can always email me at Assassin's Creed Let's Talk at gmail.com. And you can also find us on Twitter at AC Let's Talk and at James to Liquid. Really excited to hear your points of view on Mirage and also the future after Mirage, because this is the last current gen title before the series goes next gen. So will this be the last? Yes. So the big question I am asking for people to answer on Twitter: will this be your last Assassin's Creed game to get a new console, or will you not be going after any more Assassin's Creed games since they're not making any more for current gen, and next gen consoles are hard to get hold of? So I'd love to hear your thoughts, and we'll see you all next week.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.